Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Ballabha Jai Giri Varadari Jai Giri Varadari Jasodanandana Jai Braja Jararanjana Jai Braja Jararanjana Yasodanandana Jai Braja Jararanjana Jararanjana Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Gauranitai 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 Jai Gauranitai 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 Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Tai Gaur Premanande, Hari Haribo. Hare Krishna. Here we are again today as I'm a reserve, an imposter sitting here. Somebody else was supposed to give class, so I got a short notice. But it's good they pulled me out of the tamagun, ignorance. I asked Mother Manjuali if she could grace us with a class. She's the most qualified amongst us, but she declined. So anyway, reserve. I'm just below this. You have a servant, and then you have the reserve. Reserve means below the servant. Reserva means someone who is as a standby for the servant. Is a Latin word. So let's see if we can do little justice on the Bhagavatam today. So we're reading from second canto, and it's chapter 7. And what verse we have on board? 15th. And this is the scheduled incarnations, which is a good chapter. And I'll read the Sanskrit and then word by word and the translation. And then we will pass the floor to Govinda Prabhu for the purport. Unfortunately, I can't focus my reading properly because I have to have a little operation to my eyes for diabetic eyes I have. So we will see what we can do today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, second canto, chapter 7, text 15, and we carry on this chapter as a scheduled incarnations, and here we go. Antasarasi Urubalena Pade Grihito Grahena Yuttapatir Ambujahasta Arta Ahedam Adipurusha Kila Lokanata Tirtha Shravaha Shravana Mangala Namadeya Antasarasi urubalena pade grihito. Grahena yutta patir ambuja hasta harta. Ahedam adipurusha kila lokanatha. Tirtha Shravaha Shravana Mangala Namadeya. Gentlemen. Any ladies, please? Matajis? Vaishnavis? Okay, word by word. Antasarasi, within the river, Urubalena, by superior strength. Pade, pade, what it means pade? Leg, yes, like pada, pada kamalam. Grihita, being taken up. Grahena, by the crocodile. Utapati, of the leader of the elephants. Ambuja hasta, with a lotus flower in the hand. Arta, greatly aggrieved. Aha, addressed. Idam, like this. Adipurusha, the original enjoyer. Akila Lokanatha, the Lord of the universe. Tirtha Shrava, as famous as a place of pilgrimage. Shravana Mangala, all good simply by hearing the name. Namadeya, whose holy name is worth chanting. Translation, with 2 pages purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. Please repeat after me. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. So we'll have Govinda Prabhu to
purport. The history of delivering the leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in the river by the superior strength of a crocodile, is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the Lord is absolute knowledge, there is no difference between his holy name and the personality of Godhead. The leader of the elephants was much distressed when he was attacked by the crocodile. Although the elephant is always stronger than the crocodile, the latter is stronger than the elephant when it is in water. And because the elephant was a great devotee of the Lord in his previous birth, he was able to chant the holy name of the Lord by dint of his past good deeds. Every living entity is always distressed in this material world because this place is such that at every step one has to meet with some kind of distress. But one who is supported by his past good deeds engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Those who are supported by impious acts cannot be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, even though they are distressed. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:15. The personality of Godhead Hari appeared at once on the back of his eternal bearer, Garuda, and delivered the elephant. The elephant was conscious of his relation with the Supreme Lord. He addressed the Lord as Adi Purusha, or the original enjoyer. Both the Lord and the living beings are conscious and are therefore enjoyers. But the Lord is the original enjoyer because he is the creator of everything. In a family, both the father and his sons are undoubtedly enjoyers, but the father is the original enjoyer, and the sons are subsequent enjoyers. A pure devotee knows well that everything in the universe is the property of the Lord, and that a living entity can enjoy a thing as ordained by the Lord. A living being cannot even touch a thing which is not allotted to him. This idea of the original enjoyer is explained very nicely in the Isho Upanishad. One who knows this difference between the Lord and himself never accepts anything without first offering it to the Lord. The elephant addressed the Lord as Akhila Lokanatha, or the Lord of the universe, who is therefore the Lord of the elephant also. The elephant, being a pure devotee of the Lord, specifically deserved to be saved from the attack of the crocodile, and because it is a promise of the Lord that his devotee will never be vanquished, it was quite befitting that the elephant called upon the Lord to protect him, and the merciful Lord also at once responded. The Lord is the protector of everyone, but he is the first protector of one who acknowledges the superiority of the Lord instead of being so falsely proud as to deny the superiority of the Lord or to claim to be equal to him. He is ever superior. A pure devotee of the Lord knows this difference between the Lord and himself. Therefore, a pure devotee is given first preference because of his full dependence, whereas the person who denies the existence of the Lord and declares himself the Lord is called asura. And as such, he is given protection by the strength of limited power, subject to the sanction of the Lord. Since the Lord is superior to everyone, his perfection is also superior. No one can imagine it. The elephant addressed the Lord as Tirtha Shravaha, or as famous as a place of pilgrimage. People go to places of pilgrimage in order to be delivered from the reactions of unknown sinful acts. But one can be freed from all sinful reactions simply by remembering his holy name. The Lord is therefore as good as the holy places of pilgrimage. One can be free from all sinful reactions after reaching a place of pilgrimage, but one can have the same benefit at home or at any place simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. For a pure devotee, there is no need to go to the holy place of pilgrimage. He can be delivered from all sinful acts simply by remembering the Lord in earnestness. A pure devotee of the Lord never commits any sinful acts, but because the whole world is full of the sinful atmosphere, even a pure devotee may commit a sin unconsciously as a matter of course. One who commits sinful activities consciously cannot be worthy of being a devotee of the Lord, but a pure devotee who unconsciously does something sinful is certainly delivered by the Lord, because a pure devotee remembers the Lord always. The Lord's holy name is called Shravana Mangala. This means that one receives everything auspicious simply by hearing the holy name. In another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, his holy name is described as Punya Shravana Kirtana. It is a pious act simply to chant and hear all about the Lord. The Lord descends on this earth and acts like others in connection with the activities of the world, just to create subject matters for hearing about him. Otherwise, the Lord has nothing to do in this world, nor has he any obligation to do anything. He comes out of his own causeless mercy and acts as he desires. The Vedas and Puranas are full of descriptions of his different activities, so that people in general may naturally be eager to hear and read something about his activities. Generally, however, the modern fictions and novels of the world occupy a greater part of people's valuable time. Such literatures cannot do good to anyone. On the contrary, they agitate the young mind unnecessarily and increase the modes of passion and ignorance, leading to increasing bondage to the material conditions. The same aptitude for hearing and reading is better utilized in hearing and reading the Lord's activities. This will give one all-around benefit. It is concluded, therefore, that the holy name of the Lord and topics in relation with him are always worth hearing, and therefore he is called here in this verse Namateya, or one whose holy name is worth chanting.
Thank you. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Datati Swapadandikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangalam Kayate Girim Yat Kripatam Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross mountains. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a blind man can see stars in the sky. And by his mercy, a dumb man like me can speak few words on Srimad Bhagavatam today. I offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual masters. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Tamara Krishna Goswamiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhaskara Desatarine. My humble obeisances to all the devotees here, all those who are online, and all those who are in the world, in the universe, in the spiritual world, everywhere. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we read the translation once again. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, "O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted." Well, let's chant it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's worthy to chant the holy name of the Lord. Anytime, any place. Whether we are enjoying, whether we are struggling, whether we are advanced spiritually, or whether we are neophyte, whether we are attempting to embark in spiritual life, it's always auspicious. It's not that you use the holy name for spiritual advancement and then as a crutch and you don't need anymore. No. The holy name purifies even great souls. You can see here, Gajendra was already a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. But the Lord, He becomes very pleased when we think of Him in any situation, whether we are enjoying or struggling. And just like the father becomes very pleased, very happy when a child, even at the very first words, daddy or mommy, when a father is addressed by the child, it gives great pleasure to the heart of the father. Sound vibration, because you are addressing that person with helplessness, with love, and you are addressing that person as a person. Because the holy name is it's also a personal aspect of the Lord. Nam Namino. There is no difference between the holy name and Lord Krishna. So immediately the Lord appears on the scene. Whether we are living in Satya Yuga or now in Kali Yuga, we think, oh, but this incident was only a few thousand years ago and it's an epic story, and if I chant now, I don't think the Lord, but actually the Lord, He does appear. But we can't see. We can't see Krishna at the moment. But we can see people, we can see the Guru, we can see the devotees, the Shastra. So let's develop some love for what we see. As I say, if you don't learn to love what you see, you can never learn to love what you don't see. So, but the holy name, it's very mystical. It's not something to be seen, but it's something to be felt. When you chant, immediately you feel relief from struggle, because it brings you on a transcendental platform. So, and this is the attempt of Gajendra. So we are studying the second kanda, and this is a scheduled incarnations. And of course we have already, I was hearing the class yesterday and on the previous verse, and it was about Lord Nishingadev And then the previous one was the Kurma incarnations. And then the previous one was Hayagriva, Varaha. Then it goes on like that. The Dasyavatar, Lord Balaram, Matsya, and then Buddha. They're all there, one after another. These incarnations of the Lord, they represent each one of them a particular aspect of the Lord. Just like Jayadev Goswami explains that Krishna, it represents beauty. Beauty is actually the representation of Lord Krishna. Means beauty, beautiful. And you have like Buddha, for example, represents the intelligence of the Lord, illumination. Baladev represents, what it represents? The power of God. Vamanadev represents the celibacy of Krishna, the dwarf brahmachari. Just like Hayagriva also is another incarnation, represents the knowledge and sacrifice. It was just few verses before. Lord Nishingadev represents the anger of God. And so on. Lord Ram represents the pleasure of God, also the morality of God. So they're all there. Each one of them represents the, like Srimati Radharani represents the devotion of God, the happiness of God. It's an energy, but personal aspect, with a personal aspect. If you want to talk about love, she represents a love within the heart of Krishna. It's a personality. You cannot separate, just like you cannot separate, nobody can take away the happiness from your system, from your heart. And therefore, nobody can separate the happiness of Krishna from Krishna. That's Srimati Radharani. The internal, that's why it's called internal pleasure potency, because it gives him a pleasure. And just like we are very attached to our own feelings, when you are happy, you won't be, even if you are on your own, in whatever situation, you want to protect that feeling. You want to be forever with that feeling, happiness. Everybody is searching for happiness. So Krishna is like that. And his happiness, it's Srimati Radharani. That is why is the female aspect of God. It represents love, devotion, happiness. When we understand these things, then perhaps we can make some advancement. You have to forgive me, I was not prepared for this. It was one of those last-minute call that Mataji, day before yesterday, asked me to give a class, but I think somebody else was supposed to. Gajendra, we know that we'll talk about a little bit about Gajendra in the 8th canto. There is the pastime, and Srila Prabhupada mentions that that pastime is very instructing. He gives a very long purport about the pastimes of Gajendra being beaten and trapped by the crocodile. Does anybody remember the notion that Prabhupada was talking about? What represents that, the biting of the crocodile for all of us in this material world? Maybe Yadubara Prabhu could enlighten us. It represents something that we all struggle with. No, it's not envy. Miseries, yeah, they're one of the... That's also good. Does anybody want to make another attempt? The biting of the crocodile, what it represents, he gave a very, very beautiful purport. It stuck in my mind. I remember I read it as a brahmachari. And it was very, very striking. Sex life, Prabhupada. You remember, Govinda? If you read that purport about the biting of the crocodile, by holding the leg of Gajendra, Prabhupada said we are all struggling to get free from the bite, Matunya Hagara, he mentioned the word also, the powerful bite of sex life, bondage. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai. Sitaram Lakshmana Manji ki jai. So please, if you have some time today, go to that pastime, because here is just a recount. It's just a brief pastime, but you will see there is a wonderful purport from Srila Prabhupada, what it represents, the struggle of Gajendra. And he also mentioned about some of his disciples in ISKCON struggling with this phenomena, sex life, sex desire. We are all beaten by the crocodile of sex desire, of lust. And when has a grip on our consciousness, very difficult to get free from. And Prabhupada mentioned also that on our own endeavor, we can't do it, we can't get free. And we, no matter how brave we are, how strong we are with our sadhana or with our meditation, and even by work, doing good activities. But Prabhupada, he mentioned that if you don't surrender to Krishna and ask for help from the Lord, you cannot become free from the bite of sex desire, from this crocodile of sex desire. And why? Because, the Shastras say, Rishikesha, Rishikenam Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. If you serve the master of the senses, then he will control your senses. He's the one to unleash you from this bite, to free you, to free us from the bite of sex life. The Lord, not our own endeavor. To become free from anything, any inauspicious obstacles. It's always done by the Lord. Sometimes we think, I'm becoming free from all my sinful activity. The one who purifies us, it's Krishna. We don't purify ourselves. We don't have anything to purify ourselves. We don't have the tools. We're not merciful enough, powerful enough to do good to ourselves. The grace is an external thing, it's always coming down like the rain from God. The grace, the blessings are descending. It doesn't grow in us just from our own endeavor. Sometimes we think that bhakti, kripa, it just grows from our own endeavor. It's not a fact. We surrender to Krishna and we pledge some faith, service, some love by calling the holy name of Krishna. And when we do service, we call upon the help. That's what it means, chanting Hare Krishna. It's not a dogmatic Sanskrit. Like people, yesterday I was distributing books and I said, if you give me 10 pounds more, I'll make special prayer for you, I said to the person. He said, what is this prayer? I said, okay, let's do it together. It's even better because, I chant, you repeat after me. So he did, I gave him an extra book. Very nice man, a black man. And then I said, repeat after me, please repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I asked him, so your name is John? His name was John. So John, I was praying to Lord Krishna, God, to free you from all the miseries of your life. That's the prayer. And not only I called upon the blessings of God, you were also chanting, you were also calling for the blessings of God, for help. The prayer, that's what it means, the meaning of prayer. It's not that you go into church and you glorify God with some melodious sounds. And no, the prayer is a very important call for help. That's what it means. My dear Lord, boiling down, to a simple, essence, meaning. It means, my dear Lord, please help me. Isn't it? When we chant Hare Krishna, please engage me. I beg you, engage me in some service. And then we are also grateful. The prayer should be always accompanied by gratitude. Like every morning before I have a breakfast, I thank the Lord for some food on the table, for a roof over my head, that I sitting down with my wife, with my son, and and enjoying the fruits of these worlds. Sometimes we eat a banana or a plum or some strawberries. We take everything for granted. We don't know how much sacrifice has been injected in those, from other people, from humanity, from poor people, and how much attention the Lord is injecting in those foodstuffs for us. He's not actually needing these things, but it's all provided for us. He's the one making the rain fall down. He's the one having the moon, the sun and the moon, they're like his eyes. They graze the vegetables and the grains. He's the catalyst person behind any goods that we enjoy in this world. But the life goes on and we take for granted. The class is finished, let's go for breakfast. We fill up our stomach, but we don't think, we are not conscious, about the little things of life. The breakfast we eat every day, for the air that is coming in our lungs, the oxygen that keeps us living, for the sun, to warm us up, for the environment to take care of us. This is all provided by the Lord. And that is why gratitude empowers. When someone becomes grateful, then he can pray. The sincere prayer doesn't become manifest unless we are grateful for being alive. We've been given a body. We have needs for this body, and it's all taken care of. Not only that, people dusparena nalinacha, the senses are never satisfied. People, they incur in sinful activities and they enjoy life and they want more and more and more. They complain, they strike. They want more from the government. Of course, the government, it's not their fault. If there is not enough money, they can't give it out. But you can see that everyone is unsatisfied. I watch the news, I confess you the truth, but I've never seen a bulletin saying people are very happy for, the government, the way it's treating them, and people, there is enough of this, there is enough of that, there is, there is so much peace in the world, everything, it's like there is always something wrong. There is always some conflict. There is always something lacking. Like yesterday, now they're thinking to carry on fracking again for some gas because, there is no more gas coming down from Russia or from around the world. So they're trying to create some more, continue the fracking to get some gas, and so that we can be self-sufficient with some energy, that the bill will go down. People are really suffering, they're struggling. And but actually there is enough. Like Russia is burning up so much gas or oil. They show that every day, 24 hours a day. So much that in one day they can feed, for 1 week for Europe, of 1 month, 1 day of fuel that they are consuming. It's just an act of revenge, an act of despise. You have isolated me, and that's what I would. You can just see the flame, but I wouldn't give it to you. So it's we're playing, like children in this world, and making so many people suffering. So everyone is struggling. Like Prabhupada, Govinda was saying in a purport, Prabhupada mentioning about there are accidental sins committed by devotees, but they're forgiven. People, they carry on committing sins in this world, and eventually they're forgiven. But it's the intentional sin that it actually takes us away from Krishna. That creates a problem. The intentional sin is that when you welcome the bite of the crocodile, and then you suffer in pain, and you start to enjoy that pain. Like some people, they get used to it. It's like Prabhupada, a very interesting comment he makes, the suffering of the people in this world is like a camel eating the thorns from the tree and mix up with the blood, and then he swallows. And he thinks, very nice. And he's enjoying. This is called, in Sanskrit, what is it called? Avaranatmika Shakti. Correct, Govinda? Explain to us, Govinda, what does that mean?
It is the covering potency of the Lord, so that when we're in a horrible situation, we think this is quite nice.
Yes, thank you, Govinda. So we get so much used to the suffering that then it becomes a daily affairs of our lives. We get used to it. And then happiness. What is happiness? The crown jewel of happiness for people when they're is the space between two suffering. Like, I had some root canal done, and then it got infected, and I was in pain, for a week or two. So Mitesh Prabhu is one of my godson. He's taking care of me, and he's sending me some antibiotic. He said, it's a very common occurrence. So I've been suffering for a couple of weeks with the pain, but then the pain went down. And then I said, I'm happy today. I feel happy. And then the next day, by eating some bread or something, the pain came up again. And then my mind immediately, I'm not very happy today. So, and I said, wait a minute, let's analyze, my feeling. What is it? Sometimes when you stop feeling some pain, then you think you are happy. And then the pain comes again, and then you realize you're suffering. So we think the happiness is just the space between two suffering. That's all it is. So anyway, we have to be very careful to not commit sins intentionally, and pray to the Lord to save us from this bite of the crocodile and from committing offenses. Because I put up a message on Facebook the other day. It's a realization I had while distributing books, that what is sense gratification? Even as devotees, we engage in, that's fine, that's okay. I'm not giving a license for devotees to engage in sense gratification. Like sometimes you eat beautiful things, or you dress well, but there are sometimes accidental fall down that devotee, and that is a bump. I said, that is a bump. Just get up and carry on. Don't get discouraged. But the offense is a ditch. It's not a bump. The offense to other people, to the devotees, it's not a bit. He can't get out. He can't get out of the ditch, isn't it? You need help. So that was the difference between offenses and falling down due to sense gratification. Now, in one hand, you can have a strict, even a sannyasi, top ashram, strict devotee, following the 4 regular deep principles, chanting 16 rounds, strong sadhana, but then he engages criticizing other devotees. Aparat. And then in the other hand, you have someone who is not very strict, but he doesn't criticize the devotees. So who's making more advancement of the two? The second one, correct? See, Krishna doesn't see the dress, doesn't see how strict you are. He sees the consciousness, the mentality. Because there's also difference between falling down. Of course, we have to qualify this falling down, like Govinda was reading, whimsically, intentionally, or accidentally. There is a difference. So in spiritual life, sometimes we have a little lapse. Just like Prabhupada gives a beautiful example of a calf when he's born. When the calf is born, the very first thing is she's trying to do, he or she, if he's a bull, it's he, if he's a calf, it's a she, then she's trying to get up, isn't it? With the legs, and then fall down again. And the cow is glancing over the calf. And Prabhupada says that this is a very spiritual, mystical event, because by the glances of the calf, of the cow, is giving strength to the calf, to get up again, and then falls down. And then again, the cow glances over the calf, and the calf feels inspired, to get up again. It's very mystical, and then at some point she doesn't fall down anymore. The spiritual master is like that. Lord Krishna is like that. When we are weak in our spiritual life and we fall down accidentally, don't get discouraged. Just get up. By the glances of the Guru, the mercy of the Guru, the mercy of Krishna, they're always upon you. Otherwise, it's like as soon as you get a little fall down, you go away, and that's it, the end of the spiritual life. No. What is it? The failure is the pillar of success. You're expected to have many failures in the beginning of your spiritual life. You don't start the spiritual life as pure devotee. It's a transition. You get stronger slowly, slowly. So you should never think, oh, I'm falling down, so therefore spiritual life is not for me. I'm not strong enough. No, just get up and carry on. Just don't do intentionally. And that's why when we have to prevent, the bite of the crocodile. You can prevent by, if you don't want to get lusty, don't associate too much with your mind, because the mind is Visuchina, is the mother of these 6 children: lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy. If you want to know where lust is from, it's born from the mind. Mind is Visuchina, is a prostitute. It's, when the soul associates with the mind, that betrays the intelligence, which is the wife, then you're going to get visited by the crocodile. And, just like children, when they're born and they're very wild, they drag you here and there, and they want this, they want that. These 6 children, they're very wild and very difficult to control them. So therefore, how you control the mind? Lord Krishna says in the Gita, you don't eat too much, you don't eat too little, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little, don't work too much, practice yoga, bhakti yoga. Then we chant every day Hare Krishna mantra to control the mind, to ask the Lord for help. We don't just chant because it's a repetitive mantra that is soothing, that makes you feel good. Actually, when I was chanting, most sincerely, I chanted sometimes. Then I feel that the anartha, they come up. Then you don't feel good. Sometimes you chant and you can feel horrible. That is called anartha nivritti. Don't get discouraged. You're supposed to feel like that. It means the anartha, they're coming out. Just like when you are in the association of a guru. The anartha, sometimes you feel intense and you feel very, you don't feel comfortable. Do you ever felt comfortable in the close association with Prabhupada, Yadubar Prabhu, or Manjuali? When you are in the association of a pure devotee, do you feel comfortable? There you are. Tamal Krishna Maharaj he always felt in, that is called anartha nivritti, you know that. It means the process is working, intense. I was with Radhanath Swami the other day, we were talking, and Kanaya Prabhu was telling me afterwards, you were so relaxed with Maharaj, but when I am with him, you know, it's like so much is coming out. I say, that's normal. It means the process is working. I never felt comfortable in the association of my guru. He was always chastising me, purifying me. Guru is like a sculpture. You know, he shapes you the way Krishna wants you to be. And it's painful. So we have to understand that just by chanting Hare Krishna sincerely, calling for help, you may feel a little bit, you know, it's a purifying process, uncomfortable. But don't get discouraged. Then when you reach Nishta, Ruchi, the taste will come. And then happiness will come, Shakti, to the holy name will come. When we pass the stage of anartha nivritti, then you feel comfortable. So we'll stop here and we ask if there is any. Does everyone agree what I said, or was okay? Or if there is anything you don't agree, please feel free. Correct me. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, fantastic. Very nice, very clearly spoken, wonderful. I had something to contribute if we're coming back to the story of Gajendra, regarding practice of brahmacharya and sort of fighting the sex urges. We need to keep the four legs on the bull of Dharma, right? So we've got cleanliness, austerity, truth, kindness. And I got some things from my own personal experience I can hopefully bring into your class. I read a book called Practice of Brahmacharya by Swami Shivananda. He is the spiritual master of Chinmaya Ananda Sarasvati. This is Chinmaya, this organization. I found that very powerful, very enlightening. And also, I think something that we can do also is maybe look at what the pillar is itself. So, we need to look at cleanliness. And something that I do personally is I try to keep myself very clean. And I think if we can emphasize the pillar, then maybe that can help to take away from the thing that we're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah, good.
And also, I think maybe we can see that we need to develop a higher taste with that particular pillar. So maybe consider it as to be looking for love, kind of real love rather than these sort of material sex urges.
Thank you very much. Does Yadubar Prabhu or Manjuali or any other devotees would like to say a little something? Please. Yadubar Prabhu was saying. Give the microphone to Prabhu. I always like to hear from advanced soul, and it's difficult to speak in front of them.
You were mentioning the beauty of Krishna, and I thought of Lord Chaitanya, and his most important pastime was his travels, because those were his preaching pastimes. And his greatest weapon in those travels was his beauty. anybody who saw him was completely caught up, just completely enraptured. So any beautiful thing that we see, we can think of the Lord and Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, the Vaishnavas.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Beauty is it's one of the chief opulence of Lord Krishna. Even more than power or fame or wealth, knowledge, and renunciation. Beauty is number one. When you are beautiful, you got everything. Lord Chaitanya, he came with that weapon, isn't it, to conquer. Just by seeing him, people, they would become purified. Beauty, devotional beauty is a preaching. Mother Manjwali, please say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful class. And I just wanted to just underline what you had said about gratitude and how prayer begins with gratitude. And that actually, and prayer is actually putting our heads to the earth and saying, please help us. Because without the grace of our Guru and each other, we can't really move on this path of devotional life. So it's just the basic, is just when we put our heads to the earth and we do it with, my dear Lord, thank you for bringing me here. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to, serve you. And please give us the inspiration and the association to really clear all the anarthas, all the obstacles that we all have. And that comes through just, taking shelter. And that taking shelter, as you said so nicely, begins with gratitude. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, it's a very wonderful class. I have just simple one question. Why are we getting realizations? Because nowadays, I'm getting so many realizations in some situations. So what's emotions behind it? I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Great realizations, they grow in the field of sacrifice and in the field of suffering. Those who suffer, they get realizations. They don't grow in the field of enjoyment. When you enjoy, you don't get realizations. You get degradation. Realization is good. When you get realizations, it means you're favored by Krishna. That means Krishna is coming to you in the form of his message. Realizations. Realize when you until you become a realized soul. Realization means Krishna is putting you into a situation that you are facing. You are aware of the reality. He's making you seeing the real thing. That's what I mean. Realizzazione in Latin means, reality. Is the reality of the fact. The truth is coming to you, which is good. You should welcome, but it should be good realizations. Keep praying, carry on praying, and ask for more. Every day we realize things. And one day I woke up one morning. I remember I sat down here and I gave a class and I asked the devotees, I woke up this morning with a great realization. Does anybody want to know? You remember, right? Everyone put the hand up. They thought it was a great realization. Yes, please tell us. I said, I realized this morning I had one of my greatest realization. ever in my spiritual life. And you want to know what it was? I realized how fallen I am. That morning I realized, my God, it's the truth, how fallen I am. Sometimes we think we are advancing, we are very big, but then Krishna puts, one morning, happened to all of us, he'll put a mirror in front of us. Say, that's who you are, where you are. The real mirror, the mirror of reality. It comes. That mirror will come to all of us. And if we don't realize, and not only that, it's so beautiful, the Lord, that even though we are fallen and we are very weak, like Mother Manjwali said, that we are grateful for Krishna, carrying on giving us the mercy and carrying on sheltering us, no matter, how much we are lacking, how fallen we are. But once you surrender to the Lord, it doesn't matter anymore. Either you're fallen or a great soul, you are the property of Krishna, and He will look after you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Yes, okay, one last one, because otherwise I get in trouble with the breakfast regime. Oh, actually, they serve at 9, isn't it? 8:30, so sorry. So then
Hare Krishna.
he had a question. Oh. Okay, so...
I ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my point was just the crocodile's bite. Without that, Gajendra might not have prayed. So the bite is sometimes not a bad thing, but it might be the kick up the backside
Very
that
good.
we need to do the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah, like a child, if he doesn't get his hand burned from the fire, then he never learned that the fire is dangerous. And then he will never put the hand in the fire again. So, sorry, you had a little something to say?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Just a small question about Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport committing sins consciously and not conscious about it. And you also mentioned in the lecture about intentional sins. So we understand that mind is very flickering. And mind, if it is not in our control, and in that state, if a sin gets committed, because we are totally helpless with the mind, so will it be under the conscious category or unconscious category? Like we are just helpless and sin gets committed. So how we understand that?
It's very simple. The mind is very difficult to control. Did you read the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna.
Yeah, very difficult. But if you engage your mind in the service of Rishikesh, the master of the mind and the senses, he's the one who will control your mind. Buddhi Yoga means also, if you go into the section of Buddhi Yoga, you can, once you are one with your intelligence is Vasudeva, Lord Krishna himself, then together you can actually control the mind. Uddarid atmanatmanam nama atmanam avasadayet atmavaitmano bandur atmava ripuratmana. Mind can be your worst enemy or your worst friend. It all depends, how you have to be friendly with you. Sometimes I have this policy within myself. If my mind was something which is no good for me, I'll say, okay, don't worry. Later on, we'll get it. Later on, like Karidas Thakur used to do. The prostitute who came to visit, that represents the mind. So we have to be intelligent, trick the mind. It's like a child, And then, the mind eventually, it will stop demanding and it will cooperate. And then it becomes very good instrument, resolute, very supportive, very good tool for spiritual life. Very important one. Because you need the mind, to control the senses. The purpose of the mind is to control the senses. The yoga, even Hatha yoga, is with the mind. That's why the mind, when it becomes powerful, becomes Atma, is also the mind. It's almost like one with the soul. It's not that the mind is bad. The mind is all, you can purify and spiritualize the mind, and you use your indriyani paranya hur indriyabhya paran mana manasastu para buddhir yobuddhe paratastu sa. If you study that verse, see indriyani paranya hur, the matter, right? The senses are superior to the matter. Superior to the senses is the mind. Manasastu para buddhir. Then superior to the mind is the intelligence, and then yobuddhe paratastu saha. The soul is superior to the intelligence. Then next verse, the super soul is the one who is the prominent one. So that's the hierarchy. But people, they make mistake. They make the mind, as a king in control. And that's why we are called conditioned souls. We're conditioned by the mind. We don't want to be conditioned anymore, dictated, by a law. It's a maid servant, the mind. And her position is only to control the senses, and that's all. Thank you very much, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.